reorganization of states after 1950. The reorganization of Indian states, the demand, the theme was first raised during the Constituent Assembly in 1947-49. But with the implementation of Indian Constitution, this idea was completely glossed over. But this idea was revived later with the demand of a separate state of Andhra during 1950s. With the creation of Andhra Pradesh in 1955, the idea culminated with the trifurcation of Punjab in 1966 into 3 states. The idea of reorganization of Indian states was first came up during Gandhi's non-cooperation movement of 1921. Later on, this idea was developed and supported by Motilal Nehru in his famous Nehru Report. The reorganization of Indian states had 2 principal objectives. The first objective was the structure of India's federalism, and the second objective was the national integration on the basis of language. Coming to the background of the reorganization of state, we can see that during 1917, for the first time, the language became the focal point of creation of separate states in India, and this idea was very much supported by Gandhi. In 1937, when the assembly elections were held, this idea was again supported by Congress. 1947, when Nehru expressed his view, his support in favor of the reorganization of states, he also was supported by C. Rajagopalachari and Vallabhbhai Patel. Gandhi, Nehru, Patel all were in favor of the reorganization of states on the basis of language, but with the coming of India's constitution, with the coming of India's independence, this idea was completely glossed over and they stopped supporting the reorganization of states on the basis of language. And then came the JVP committee. We will discuss it in detail in later discussions. That JVP committee finally submitted its recommendation for the creation of states on the basis of language. The effects of the linguistic movement was manifold, because there were widespread movement, riots all over India for the creation of states on the basis of language. There were literature, regional literature and regional languages that flourished, and the new structure that was erected as the symbol of the creation of the states, and also deep apprehension for the nationalist leaders, because the nationalist leaders fear that this idea of reorganization of states on linguistic basis can divide India. So, with this background, we will reach to our first segment or the first question, and that is, what were the causes behind the reorganization of states? Coming to the answer, it is usually believed that language was the sole cause behind this purpose of the reorganization of states, but it was not only language. The answer will be ethnicity, language, administration, political feasibility, size, party system, etc. So, these all causes definitely were there behind the demand for the reorganization of states. Coming to the second segment of our lecture, the state reorganization committees. There were many committees that were formed who studied the entire thing, submitted the reports and made a lot of recommendations. And the first committee that was formed by Fazl Ali, K.M. Panikkar and H.N. Kunzru. This committee was formed during 1954-55, and it took a lot of interviews. More or less 9,000 people were interviewed reviewed on the basis of the demand of the people for the creation of different states. They submitted their report in October 1955 and they recommended that the northern part of India, that is Bihar, UP, Rajasthan and also the central part like Madhya Pradesh, southern part like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka should be given the status of full-fledged states. And they said that the eastern India should remain as it is. Bombay should be kept as a bilingual state because there were Marathi speaking people and Gujarati speaking people. So, Bombay should continue as a bilingual state. And on 1st November 1956, Andhra Pradesh became the first Indian state based on language. The next committee that was formed was Sapru Committee in the name of Tej Bahadur Sapru. Sapru Committee proposed, its proposal came around December 1945 and the proposals among that they made various aspects, it covered various aspects and it also talked about the exigencies of creation of the regional states or linguistic states and the ideal division of the country into separate states. That was, I was talking about the objective, that is the Indian federal structure. And this committee also emphasized on the linguistic reorganization because there were demands, there were movement going on across the country. So, Sapru Committee actually recommended the same thing that the State Reorganization Committee did. The second committee that we would discuss is about Linguistic Provinces Commission, and this commission was formed by the President of India, Rajendra Prasad in 1948, and this committee was also formed with 3 members, and this Linguistic Provinces Commission with a specific very brief examination of all the reports, existing reports, and they recommended that Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka and Maharashtra should be given the status of separate states. The report of the Linguistic Provision Commission was clearly an elaboration of what Sapru Committee and the other the previous committee that recommended, and the Constituent Assembly, when Constituent Assembly passed or supported the idea of reorganization committee, it actually corroborated all the recommendations made by the previous committees. This was indeed very critical importance given to the fact that Indian states and the parts of provinces were contiguous. For example, in Travancore, Cochin was proposed to be added to Kerala, and Travancore, Cochin, Kerala, they spoke the language Malayalam. For example, Bidarbho was recommended to become a separate state, but in Maharashtra, Bidarbho and Bombay, Maharashtra, they all speak Marathi. For example, in Hyderabad and Andhra Pradesh, both these states, there are Telugu speaking people. So, the contiguous areas which were demanding separate recognition of separate states were actually speak similar language. So, that was a big problem for these committees to recommend for their creation as a separate state, because the people speak similar kind of languages. So, coming to the next committee, it was S.K. Dhar committee, and this committee completely opposed the idea of reorganization of states. This was the only committee that spoke against the reorganization of states, because it actually marked what could be the consequences, what could be the repercussion of the reorganization of these states on the linguistic basis, and specifically in the northeastern part of India. So, this committee is very remarkable because it definitely opposed the idea of reorganization of states. In the report, it specifically said that Andhra, Karnataka, Kerala and Maharashtra can be given the status of separate states, but not the other states of India. Coming to the State Reorganization Committee recommendation, now we will see what recommendations they made. The first thing that they said that there should be some states, for example, Madras, Kerala, Karnataka, Hyderabad, Andhra, Bombay, Bidarbho, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Assam, Orissa, Jammu and Kashmir. It was important to note that a commission scheme of which was the creation of Hyderabad was not supported by the Congress leader, and we know that Hyderabad became a separate state much later in 2014 only with the creation of Telangana, but it was recommended by the linguistic committee in 1950s because they found that Hyderabad, since it was a princely state, it was annexed by India, so Hyderabad should be given the status of a separate state, but it was not conceded by the nationalist leaders. The other thing that was important, that Travancore Cochin was added to Kerala because the language was same, that was Malayalam. Then Hyderabad to Karnataka, the language was similar, that is Kannada, and also Malabar region to Madras because of the language, that is Tamil Nadu Tamil. So these states were clubbed together and they were made huge states like Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra. So this was the reorganization that was recommended by the committees. Now SRC, that is States Reorganization Committee, this committee specifically opposed the bifurcation of Bombay Presidency into Gujarat and Maharashtra. Instead, it recommended that Bidarbh should be created as a separate state, which was not conceded by the nationalist leaders, and we all know that Bidarbh is still a very burning issue, a very burning demand of the people of Bidarbh to get a separate recognition for the separate state. Now, recommendation of the SRCs goes on. The government accepted some of the recommendations, as I said, and also rejected some of it. For example, Andhra was created, but Telangana was not created by that time. It was dropped. It was created much later. And Mysore was added to Karnataka. That was not in the plan. And Hyderabad, Bombay and Madras, they were not created as separate states. Bombay was kept as a capital city of Maharashtra, and then Saurashtra was also recommended to be a separate state, which was not conceded. So there are a lot of proposals, recommendations which were not supported by the nationalist leaders. About the central provinces, we can see that Bhopal, Berar and the other parts of central region were added to Madhya Pradesh. West Bengal was kept as it was. There was another very important aspect of this entire report or recommendation, that is an act was passed in 1956 and it was called the State Reorganization Act. With the passage of this act, Andhra became the first legal state which is based on language that came out in 1955. So, Hyderabad was included into the state, Travancore Cochin into the Malabar and Madras with Tamil Nadu and Karnataka with Mysore. All these cases, the core principle was language. In 1966, Punjab, after 10 years of the creation of Andhra, Punjab was trifurcated into Himachal Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab. With this, we have come to the end of our second segment with a question, and the question is, when was the Linguistic Provinces Commission formed and by whom? The answer is June 17, 1948, Chairman Rajendra Prasad, who formed the commission. Now, coming to the movements, we should analyze the movements which were very important in forcing the government to enact an act for these demands and fulfill the demands, the popular demands, the must demands for the creation of different states. So the first movement, that is Samyukta Maharashtra Parishad movement, that is the movement for the creation of Maharashtra. This movement established this Samyukta Parishad of Maharashtra, that was established in 1946, and the Bombay Citizens Committee, the committee was headed by the most renowned people of those days like Purushottam Das Thakur Das, like J.R.D. Tata, they all supported the creation of Bombay as a separate state. So this demand was not negligible at all, because the most renowned lawyers, doctors, scholars, they all supported the creation of Bombay. But still, nationalist leaders, they found that Maharashtra should be remained as a state for the Marathi speaking people, and Bombay should become its capital. So on November 1st, 1956, Bombay became the capital of Maharashtra, and Chief Minister was Y.V. Chavan of Maharashtra. That in 1957, Bombay presidency was divided into two states. One was Maharashtra with the Marathi speaking people, the other was Gujarat with the Gujarati speaking people, and Bidarbho, the issue of Bidarbho was completely bypassed, and it is still a very burning demand, as I said, that the creation of Bidarbho, which has not been created till date. Coming to our next movement, that is Punjab movement, which is again very important movement, and the Sikh demanded actually the West Punjab, because we all know that during the partition, Punjab and Bengal, both these states were partitioned. So Indian Punjab and Punjabis, they demanded for the creation of a separate state, and the most important leader of this movement was Tara Singh, who belonged to Akali Dal, and deliberately they used the term independence from the India's rule. So it was a deliberate demand for them, and the Jats supported the idea of the creation of Punjab as a separate state, whereas the low caste Sikhs, they opposed the demand. And the Punjab movement has several stages. For example, when 1955 the State Reorganisation Committee submitted its report, they said that Patiala should be included or added to the state of Punjab, which was opposed by the rebels who were demanding the creation of Punjab. Then after Nehru, Lal Bahadur Shastri became the Prime Minister. He also supported the creation of Punjab, and there were other things. For example, in Punjab, there were Hindi-speaking people with whom the Himachal Pradesh was created. In Punjab, there were Punjabi-speaking people with whom the Punjab state was created, and there were other people who were actually Hindus, but they speak different languages, with whom the Haryana state came into being. So Punjab was trifurcated not solely on the basis of language, religion, ethnicity also played a very important role. And the state Chandigarh, that became a union territory, and later it became a full-fledged state. Coming to our third movement, that is Telugu movement of Andhra Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh, as I said, became the first linguistic state. So we should focus on it a little bit, and it has a rich legacy. As we all know, the Vijayanagara Empire of the ancient Indian history. From that empire, Andhra Pradesh emerged as the first linguistic state, and the Andhra movement was led by Potti Sriramalu in 1952, who started fast unto death and pressurized government to fulfill their demand. But Nehru initially ignored Potti Sriramalu's fast, but when Sriramalu died of fasting, then there was a huge riot, and finally Nehru had to concede the demand of the creation of Andhra Pradesh. Now, coming to the northeast, as I said, we will discuss it very briefly. The northeastern states, the creation of northeastern states. 1963, Nagaland became the state, and then 1971, several northeastern states came into being. For example, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Tripura, Manipur, they all were given the status of states in 1971. Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh became full-fledged states in 1987, but the issue of Bodoland is still pending, because that movement, the Bodoland movement, is still a very important movement, and it's going on in northeastern part. There are other miscellaneous states, but we will discuss, of course, the creation of three most important states in the year 2000, that is Uttarakhand, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Now, if we talk about what was the principal reason behind the creation of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, then it was the tribal movements, because in Chhattisgarh there were the gradual demand for the protection of the forest rights of the forest dwelling Adivasis, and also behind Jharkhand because the demand for the creation of a separate Jharkhand state was very old. In fact, it was first raised during the Santhal movement of 1855, when the Santhal Porguna was created right after the movement. So that demand, and after India's independence, the Marxist party also supported the demand of the Jharkhand party, the Jharkhand party, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, that was leading the movement for Jharkhand, and finally Jharkhand became a full-fledged state in 2000. And behind the creation of Uttarakhand was again a very different reason, that Uttarakhand was very much, it's a state on the lap of Himalaya. So it was a completely ethnically different from Uttar Pradesh. So it was created on the basis of ethnicity, like we have seen in northeastern part. And in 2014, that is the creation of Telangana, which is also very old demand. And with this, we have come to the end of our third segment with a question, that when was Andhra Pradesh created and after whose sacrifice of life? The answer is 1st October 1953, Potti Sri Ramalu died because of fasting. So, about the recent development, if we talk about the reorganization of states, so it is not ended, and there are almost 7 demands for creation of 7 separate states, and one of them is Harit Pradesh and Purvachal from Uttar Pradesh. This is a very burning issue of Uttar Pradesh. Then Bidarbhu, which is existing demand from Maharashtra, separation of Bidarbhu from Maharashtra. And I have also talked about Bodoland from Assam, which is again very ethnic demands are there for the creation of Bodoland. And there are other demands, for example, Gorkhaland from West Bengal and Kamtapuri movement, which are going on in several parts of Bengal. So these are the recent development. And about very recent development, we can talk about the Nagalim, that our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has held a meeting on 3rd August 2015 with the leaders who came to see him with the demand of the creation of a separate Nagalim state. And as far as our knowledge is concerned, in 2017 and 2018, he also held some meetings with the leaders, but the conclusion is still unknown to us. So these are the reorganization movement, and what we have seen during the entire discussion, that language was not the sole demand. In the northeastern part, ethnicity, tribality, indigeneity was a huge role to play, and also in the creation of Uttarakhand, in the creation of Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh, language did not play any vital role as such. So, with this note, we have come to the end of our lecture. Thank you so much.